Hi, my name is Beth Wasden and I'm the Volunteer and Outreach Coordinator at the Nanticoke Watershed Alliance. Today, we'll be covering Creekwatchers from prep to post-visit. Creekwatchers should use this video as a refresher and as the moving form of the protocol cheat sheet. Not currently a Creekwatcher? Check out our website to learn more about the program and to see if we're currently recruiting new Creekwatchers. Let's go Creekwatching! The night before we go creek watching, there are a couple of items we need to take care of. First, put your ice pack in the freezer if it's not already there. We also need to check or change the DO membrane. First, remove the storage chamber and unscrew the stainless steel guard that protects the DO meter probe so that you can examine the membrane. Every fourth sampling period, you'll also need to remove and replace the membrane. Please check the sampling period calendar that's included in your manual. The membrane is clear, the sides are yellow, and the membrane covers the probe. Make sure the membrane does not have any holes or puncture marks. If it does, replace it. If it's a maintenance sampling period, replace it. If there's no moisture present, replace it. If the membrane checks out or if you've replaced it, screw on the guard and add some fresh tap water to the storage chamber. Release any excess water, then attach the chamber. Note, do not use distilled water in the storage chamber as this can cause the meter to fail. The morning of sampling, we need to complete a few items before we hit the road. First, prep and label all of your sample containers. Tidal site monitors in March through May and July through September should use tweezers to place filters inside each filter holder. You'll have a labeled filter holder for each Tidal site you monitor. In addition, you will need to take one foil square, fold it in half, and label the foil with the site code, the date of collection, and a spot to record the volume filtered in milliliters. Make sure you leave enough space to fold the foil edges in the field so that the lab staff and NWA staff can see all labeling info. All Creekwatchers should pre-label a nutrient bottle with the date and site code. The first sampling periods in June and October, you will also be taking nutrient blanks and duplicates, so you should also label those bottles. Next, label the tops of your data sheets with the site name, site code, date that you'll be creekwatching, and names of everyone in your creekwatching team. Label the site sample data sheet as well as the water quality data sheet. During the first sampling periods in April, June, and October, you'll also be taking field measurement duplicates, which means you'll need to prep an additional water quality data sheet for each site. On your primary water quality data sheet, check No next to "Is this a duplicate set of measurements?" On the duplicate or secondary water quality data sheet, check Yes. While we're still at home, we also need to calibrate specific conductance with the DO meter and calibrate the pH meter. We created specific step-by-step instructional videos for both of these procedures. Please see the playlist or click on the link to view these videos. Make sure your DO meter is on when you leave your home. Otherwise, gather all of the equipment you'll need to creekwatch and make sure you put your freezer pack in your cooler. If it's a really hot day, you can add loose ice to help ensure that samples stay cold before you drop off. Equipment you should absolutely have in your travel kit are Van Dorn water sampler, pH meter, diometer and diometer weights if sampling at a strong current site, gloves for each person who will be assisting with water samples, sample containers, cooler with ice pack and/or ice, Secchi disc, a weighted line or a weight attachment if included in your kit, chem wipes, a squirt bottle filled with distilled water, empty plastic ball jar for your pH samples and the 50 milliliter beaker, clipboard, pencil, and data sheets. Other items, depending on circumstances, include the 7 calibration solution, as well as either the 4 or the 10. You'll want to attach lids before traveling if you will not be returning home before you drop off. Chlorophyll A kit for monitors at Tidal sites in the months of March through May and July through September. Safety vest and a safety cone if sampling at a bridge site. A Lindinger if you have an older Van Dorn and are creekwatching solo. A membrane kit for your diometer that's placed in a protected, waterproof area. Please make sure at least one person in the group has a charged phone before going out in the field for your safety and to take photos. When you pull up to your site, log the arrival time on the site sample datasheet under Start Time. Complete the DO calibration first. Please see the DO calibration video for step-by-step instructions. Next, make site observations. Check the best answer for each question or check uncertain if you're not sure. All team members who will be assisting with water samples must wear gloves. Put them on before grabbing your sample. In order to use the Van Dorn, first open the end caps. On the old Van Dorns, make sure that the clamp is flush to the container and that the clamp is in the open position. Lower the Van Dorn to the half-meter mark or to the mid-depth position if at a shallow water site. Flush the Van Dorn. Repeat this process 2 more times. If using the older Van Dorn, pull up the device and lock the clamp into the shut position. Lower again to the half-meter or the midpoint mark at a shallow water site. Then release the messenger in order to close the end caps. Pull up the Van Dorn. Old Van Dorn users will need to insert the Van Dorn into the Lindinger in a vertical position if working solo. If working in a team, one person can hold the Van Dorn vertically, ensuring that the outlet tube is at the bottom. Then, open the top end cap. If your Van Dorn leaks excessively, you can grab a second water sample. Tidal site monitors should next insert the syringe into the sample water. Draw 50 milliliters of water, flush, and repeat twice more before collecting the lab sample. When you have the lab sample, tap the syringe to release air bubbles, then attach the filter holder. The holder does not screw on. Hold onto the filter holder as you slowly flush the sample water through the filter. Note, you may be unable to flush the entire 50 milliliters through the syringe. If this happens, make a note of how much water is remaining in the syringe and subtract that number from 50 milliliters. You will record the actual amount of water you filter on the foil and on your data sheet. Remove the filter holder. Open the pre-labeled and folded aluminum foil square. Unscrew the filter holder so that it splits in half. Shield the filter from sunlight as much as possible. Also, make sure you keep an eye on the O-ring. If it is attached to the filter, use the tweezers to separate those items. Use the tweezers to gently grab the edge of the filter, lift it, and place in the dead center of the foil. Use the tweezers to hold down the filter as you begin to fold in half. Once the folding process is underway, you can remove the tweezers. Fully fold, then seal the 3 open edges of the foil by folding over once. Make sure the foil is folded on the 3 edges, that you've recorded the volume filtered, and that the site code, date of collection, and volume filtered are all visible once you've folded. If not, fix before you put away. Insert the foil into a snack baggie, then place in a quart baggie. Store on top of the ice pack and place red towel on top of the sample to keep as cold and as dark as possible. When you're ready to obtain a nutrient sample on the old Van Dorns, just open the clamp, allowing sample water to flush through the tube first, then hold the tube above the nutrient bottle. Do not insert the tube, your fingers, or anything except for sample water into the bottle. You can also pour directly from either the old Van Dorn or the new Van Dorn containers directly into the nutrient bottles. Make sure that you add only enough water to reach the shoulders of the bottle. Then screw on the lid and place the sample in your cooler. Note, due to the small size of the nutrient sample bottles, we recommend that you place them inside a Ziploc while sampling to help you keep track of them. You must use the comments section to document when you've changed the DO membrane. You can also use this area to record information about the site, from the color of the water to flora or fauna present. Do not use this area to record any time-sensitive information. Call if you need immediate assistance, or email if you're running low on supplies. Flush the empty ball jar with sample water 3 times. Put 50 milliliters of sample water in the jar. Then turn on the pH meter, rinse off the probe with distilled water, and thoroughly wipe with a Chem wipe. Next, place the pH meter in the ball jar, swirl it in the water, and allow the meter to sit until the value stabilizes. Note, in colder weather, this process will take longer, up to a minute or 2. In summer, the value will usually stabilize within 30 seconds. Lastly, rinse off the probe with distilled water and wipe with a Chem wipe. Replace the cap. Make sure you record the pH value on your water quality data sheet. Once you've obtained all of the sample water you need, empty the Van Dorn, ball jar, and syringe of any remaining sample water. We recommend keeping the Van Dorn in the open position on your way to your next site or home to make it easier to flush or rinse. Now, you're ready to use the Secchi disc. If you're monitoring at sites with strong currents, we will have provided you with a weighted line as well. You may have a line that has a Secchi attachment and a weight attachment also. First, you need to get your Secchi reading. Remove your sunglasses before you proceed. Then, lower the Secchi disc into the water until it just disappears. Pull it up again slowly until you can see it. You may have to move the disc up and down a few times to get the best reading. Record this reading. Next, Lower the disc or weight until it hits the bottom. The line will become slack. Pull the line until it's taut. Then record the total water depth on your water quality datasheet. Note: each black zip tie measures 0.1 meters, while the bright zip ties measure 0.5 meters. Use the total water depth to determine where you will be taking depth profile measurements. If your site is at least 0.6 meters deep, you'll take a surface measurement at half a meter. If not, you should take your surface measurement at the exact same depth that you collected your water samples. If your site is at least 1.6 meters deep, you'll also take a bottom measurement 1 meter above the bottom. For example, if your total water depth is 2.1 meters, take a bottom measurement at 1.1 meters and record that value where it asks for the water depth under bottom measurement. If you're at a deep water site, meaning that the site is at least 3 meters deep, you will take an extended depth profile. Along with the surface and bottom measurements, you will take measurements at each 1 meter increment that occurs. These increments are pre-recorded on the datasheet. Note that you may take a reading that's deeper than the bottom measurement. For example, if your total water depth is 5.3 meters, you'll take measurements at half a meter, 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, 4 meters, 4.3 meters, and 5 meters. At a site with a strong current, remove the probe from the storage chamber and screw on the weight. You'll need to remove the weight after you've obtained your readings and to transport in between sites. To record the data, wait for the AS that's associated with the DO milligrams per liter to become solid or to stabilize. Press the Enter button to save data while the Save icon is highlighted. After you've obtained all of your measurements, rinse off the conductivity ports in the probe with distilled water. Flick off excess water before putting the probe in the storage chamber again. To recall data, use the down arrow to highlight data, then press Enter. The most recently saved data will appear first. Use the down arrow to view other datasets. When you want to return to the main screen, press Enter, then select Exit using the arrow buttons. Press Enter. Lastly, it may be helpful for you to record the saved dataset number that correlates with each measurement. This helps you keep track of which dataset goes with each depth. It also helps us obtain missing or illegible data when we're doing data entry. You can record the dataset number in a blank area next to the depth on the datasheet, but we do not require it at this time. Before you leave your site, do a final check. Make sure that you've recorded all observations, have recorded all of the measurements needed, and that you have all of your samples. You'll repeat the same process at all of your sites. You won't need to recalibrate your DO meter unless it shuts off. Before you drop off, you'll need to perform the pH post-calibration check. If you're returning home, you can do this after you return. If you're going directly to the drop-off, run your checks before you drop off. Note: you are not calibrating again, only obtaining the value. Use the 7 solution first. Rinse and dry the probe, turn on the meter, then insert and swirl in the 7 solution. Wait for the value to stabilize and record this value on the site sample datasheet in the pH post-calibration column. Repeat this process with either the 4 or the 10 solution. Dispose of the pH solutions at your home in the drain. If you are sampling on Sunday and dropping off on Monday, you will take your samples and datasheets home with you. Store the chlorophyll A sample in the freezer in the coldest, darkest spot. Also place your nutrient sample in the freezer. Make sure you return the ice pack to the freezer so that it's ready to go on the next day. Make sure you have your data sheets and samples when you travel to the drop-off. When you arrive, you should see a regular cooler with ice, a bin with a clipboard inside that features chain of custody forms clipped to the front, and in March through May and July through September, a small styrofoam cooler with dry ice inside. Put your samples away first. Remove your chlorophyll A sample from the quart baggie. Leave it in the snack baggie and place it in between the two red towels. Do not touch dry ice with your fingers. Next, place your nutrient sample in the regular ice cooler. Now, fill out the chain of custody form using information from your datasheet. Please only record your site code once on the chain of custody form. Then, record the time of collection, the volume filtered if you took a chlorophyll A sample, your initials, and circle the type of samples you took, chlorophyll A and/or nutrient. If you took nutrient blanks and duplicates, you'll need to add lines for both of those. Repeat this for each site you monitor. Before you leave, place your data sheets inside the middle of the clipboard. Once you return home, please make sure to thoroughly rinse any items that came into contact with sample water, including the Van Dorn, Secchi disc, weighted line, chlorophyll A kit items, ball jars, and the beaker. Allow these items to dry completely before storing them. Also, rinse off the pH probe with tap water and dry thoroughly with a chem wipe. Pour out any remaining KCl from the cap, rinse the cap, then add fresh KCl to the cap line. Rinse off the DO meter probe and flush the conductivity ports with tap water. You may use the conductivity port brush at this time to clear the ports by inserting the brush and moving it in and out 8 to 10 times per port. Do a final rinse and add some fresh tap water to the storage chamber. Release any excess water, then reattach the chamber. Store all kit items in a climate-controlled, dark, dry place. In between sampling periods, add fresh tap water to the DO meter storage chamber. That concludes our creek watching outing. We hope you had fun and hope to see you on the water soon.